Glad you're here. We're talking about snow. It's consistent snow all weekend long, and this is a simple way to look at it. We have a lot of moisture on the BC coast, and see this stationary boundary here? This is essentially a conveyor belt. All of the moisture is essentially going to ride this right through the prairies and into Ontario, and yeah, that brings us consistent snow all weekend long. That's going to look a lot like this. This was just moments ago taken in Oakville, Ontario. Consistent snow, and that means we could see around 10 to 20 centimeters by the time this all wraps up. I want to show you here lesser amounts down through the western portions of the Greater Toronto Area, especially through southwestern Ontario, and that's because in this lighter blue right here, this is where we could be seeing some freezing ice pellets. That's going to be later today. Some mixing as well through the overnight, so watch out for those icy conditions. This is what the temperatures look like though. It's cool once we get into Sunday morning. Yeah, today is just about seasonal, -2. Tomorrow, big dip in temperatures, -13 with that wind chill, -30. That's what it's going to feel like in North Bay. And I was having a look at the radar and I was checking out the 400 and Highway 11. If you are traveling north today, the roads are going to be pretty slippery. They're covered in snow. It's snowing pretty good up there towards Barrie. This is what it looks like into the afternoon. Still very cold. It's going to be colder tomorrow than it is today. Temperatures today closer to 0, more -2 to -3. So this is how the snow moves in. It's going to come through in waves. We saw the first wave this morning, another one tonight, and watch the snow build back in through Sunday. If we see those easterly winds over Lake Ontario, yeah, that traveling over a relatively warm body of water, that's going to be some lake enhancement. So that's why places like Mississauga, the City of Toronto, Oakville, Burlington, that's why you could see some enhanced totals. So when you see the snow, connect with us. Tell me what you think about this. Are you hoping for a snow day, kids? I want to know about it. Connect with us on Twitter. And of course, send us a video too, a picture of the front lawn. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break. Yeah, it's always spring on the West Coast. Yesterday, Vancouver was at about 12 degrees, but they were soaked in the rain. And a lot of that rain, well, turns into Alberta clippers, tracks across the prairies, and brings us snow. You can see right here, this clipper moving out of Manitoba into Ontario and right into our backyard. So in Ajax yesterday, it looked like this. Yeah, snowy conditions out on the ground, but fresh snow. That will be moving in today, and it's moving in right across southern Ontario. It's going to come in waves. You might not notice the individual waves of snow, but at times, really heavy, a little bit lighter, kind of transitioning in between that. But no matter which way you slice it, it's snowing all weekend long. Will you have to shovel? Yeah, maybe even a few times, especially if you're in the City of Toronto, 10 to 20 centimeters. 20 is going to be on the higher end, but you are in a good spot to see those easterly winds traveling over Lake Ontario and having some enhancement in terms of some of those snowfall totals. So this is where 20 centimeters is looking pretty accurate. Where we are looking at some of the lesser amounts, well, that's down through the western portions of the GTA, and that's because some mixing could come into play. Yeah, we're talking about some ice pellets, and that's just with some warmer air heading into the Greater Toronto Area. So when we look at the mixing, really is south here towards Niagara Falls and then stretching in towards southwestern Ontario. When we talk about the snowfalls out through Windsor, it's just trace amounts of snow. Really, the bulk of snow is right through the GTA. Kitchener stretching out towards Oshawa, even up and towards the Kawarthas too. So maybe you're thinking about the Cottage. Yeah, likely that they're getting quite a bit of snow this weekend. Let's look at Toronto. Over the next few days, temperatures stay cold right through this week. And you want to know more about the cold, more about the snow? We'll answer that in the Long Ranger next. I'm glad you're here because we are talking about snow. Consistent snow all weekend long. When we talk about the moisture on the BC coast, if you've been following this story, some places have seen 200 millimeters of rain, almost 200 centimeters of snow, and it rides this boundary here, Alberta clippers, and it ends up in our backyard, and it looks like this. This is Oakville from earlier today, where the snow, the first wave of snow started. It was weak, it intensified, and you can expect this to continue out through the whole weekend. Driving, it's going to be a little tough. It's not going to be the worst snowstorm you've ever driven in. However, it's going to be slippery out there, slick roads, and we also have the potential to see some ice pellets and some mixing tonight throughout western portions of the Greater Toronto Area. That's why some of your snowfall totals are a little bit less. As we look at the widespread snow, 10 to 20 centimeters, especially if we get those easterly winds traveling over Lake Ontario. That's going to be some enhancement in terms of some of the totals. As we look at tomorrow, it's going to be colder than today. Today, we're just at about seasonal, -2. It's very comfortable out there. You just need the regular winter gear. Tomorrow, you'll need a little extra, well, especially if you're up in North Bay, -30. That makes our minus teens not look so bad, right? -6 in through the afternoon. So temperatures staying pretty stable throughout the day, but the snow, that's also going to be stable throughout the day. It will be consistent. This is what it's like this afternoon through this evening. Snow, and then watch Sunday morning. We see some more snow develop, and that is just going to continue right into Monday morning as well. So as you go back to work, back to school, that's what you can expect to see. Some slippery roads, maybe even snow covered in some areas. This is a little recap for Sunday. The snow continues, and some of the coldest air is just to our east. Okay, kids, you got a few more reasons there to convince the parents for a backyard rink, don't you? Rachel Schoutsen here with you today, and when we talk about some good conditions to have an ice rink, well, this weekend, it's going to be beautiful snow this weekend. It's going to be cold enough as well. And as we look at our cloud tops, this is the Clipper here. It's moving into our region, and it's going to be bringing us some snow. But first, I want to start off with a majestic scene. This is Port Hope, Ontario. Beautiful, isn't it? This is video from Thursday. Nice scene there. It's about to change though. As this snow continues to move through, it's going to be persistent snow all weekend long. At times heavy, yes. You will have to shovel quite a bit. We're talking widespread here, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. As this moves off into Quebec, we're starting to see some higher totals here. Notice the lack of snow down through southwestern Ontario. You're not really targeted in terms of this, but as we look at London, possibly even stretching towards Hamilton, this is where we could get into some mixing. I'll show you that in a second, but this is a closer look at some of those totals. Notice right in this region, this is where we could see some increased totals with those easterly winds over Lake Ontario. That puts you right in this section to see some lake enhancement. So perhaps a little bit of a whiteout condition there too, traveling along the lakeshore. We know snow squalls can bring us some of our most powerful snows of the season. So when we look at some of the mixing here, notice the word icy, the icy conditions. That's because temperatures are going to be pretty close to zero, so we could see those ice pellets, the nice glaze on the roads, which is disastrous for travel. And this will move closer to Kitchener for Sunday morning. So traveling out that way, you got to start thinking about that. The 401 through there should start to see some pretty icy conditions. Now, as we look at our 7-day forecast for the city of Toronto, it is going to be a cold week next week. Some of the coldest air of the season close to Valentine's Day is going to be from northwestern Ontario stretching in towards the Maritimes. So same thing goes for Hamilton with overnight lows and wind chills in the -20s. It's Saturday. Great to see you. It's snowing for a lot of people right across the country, so we're bringing in the weather selfie, of course, of you in the snow. This one goes out to Edmonton. This is Zebed Akbar in all of the clippers that you've been seeing in Edmonton. Today, it's starting to move out. Yes, the main bulk of the snow is over Manitoba and then into Ontario. But Zebed, thanks so much for sending in this. We love your weather selfie. Keep them coming in here at the Weather Network. But I want to show you now an extreme weather selfie. Imagine surfing in this. These guys, looks like they got their GoPro set up perfectly in play with this. Oh my goodness. I don't think I could ever do that. Surfing in Lake Ontario in the freezing icy water. Isn't that epic? Well, if you want to do something crazy like that, or you just want to take a regular weather selfie, connect with us. Connect with me. Send me your selfie on Twitter at Rachel Schoutsen, or another way you can send it to us is upload.theweathernetwork.com. We love to feature you right here on the Weather Network. Now let's talk about that snow. This was taken earlier this morning, Highway 63 through Fort McMurray, Alberta. Whiteout conditions with all of that snow. Talk about a lot of snow. This is Kitimat, BC. Yeah, no kidding. Look at this. Some areas have seen over 160 centimeters of snow. With that Arctic push, all the moisture from the Pineapple Express on the BC coast, it's falling as snow. This one also from Kitimat. Carol McDonald sends in this and says, I couldn't even go snowshoeing today. The snow was so deep. It's coming in such excess amounts. It is really a crazy snow story for the BC interior and along the coast. And as we jump to the other side of the country, this is out in Newfoundland, Corner Brook. Vicki Collins sends this one in, and she said, my Subaru turned into a cone head with all of that snow. Falling snow, that's the story. And it's creating a very high avalanche risk, an extreme avalanche risk in through Jasper. And you can see all of the high risks as well throughout the interior along the coastal mountains. So you do have to be careful. Not a good idea to go into the backcountry today. As we focus in on these clippers, of course, from all the moisture on the BC coast, they're tracking right across the prairies. Big snow today for Manitoba, also in through Ontario. We're seeing a few different waves of snow in Ontario. By the time it's all said and done, 10 to 20 centimeters. We'll be breaking that down a little more, and I want to end on this. The coldest weather of the season is on the way for the Great Lakes and the Maritimes for Valentine's Day.
This weather segment